Across America, gardens tell our stories. They hold our history, our creativity, and our connection to the natural world. Founded in 1989, the Garden Conservancy is a nonprofit organization dedicated to preserving, sharing, and celebrating America's gardens and the diverse traditions that have shaped them. Our mission is simple but profound: to ensure that the beauty, knowledge, and inspiration found in gardens are never lost, but shared for generations to come. We work hand in hand with gardeners, designers, historians, and communities to preserve outstanding gardens across the country. Many are historic landmarks, living legacies that reflect the artistry of those who came before us. Since our founding, we've helped more than 100 remarkable gardens survive and thrive, transforming private visions into public treasures. But preservation is just the beginning. Through our Open Days program, now in its 30th year and still growing, thousands of private gardens open their gates to visitors each year, offering an intimate glimpse into the creativity of gardeners nationwide. Since 1995, more than 4,000 gardens have welcomed over 1 million visitors, each one discovering the transformative power of gardens, one path, one bloom at a time. We share knowledge through lectures, documentary films, symposia, and tours, connecting people to ideas and ideas to the land itself. Programs like Digging Deeper, which takes an in-depth look at specific topics, and the Garden Masters series allow us to learn directly from those shaping the future of garden design, sustainability, and stewardship. Our Garden Futures grants award funds to small public gardens and other nonprofit garden organizations that make a significant impact in their communities. Through all our work, we celebrate gardens as vital to our culture and quality of life. From public gardens to countless backyards and community spaces that nurture both plants and people, we see how gardens bring hope, healing, and harmony to the world around us. It all began with one man, Frank Cabot. Inspired by Ruth Bancroft's magnificent dry garden in California, he saw the need for an organization that could protect such living works of art for the future. And from that vision, the Garden Conservancy was born. More than 3 decades later, we continue that commitment to passion, generosity, and the enduring spirit of gardening. At the Garden Conservancy, we believe gardens connect us to the earth, to each other, and to something timeless. Together, we preserve, we share, and we celebrate America's gardens, so their beauty can continue to inspire us all.
I think time is the fourth dimension. Time and change and the garden are all tied in together. Anytime you deal with plants, you're dealing with change. Sun and shade, shapes, sculptures, fruit, flowers, all are determined by change. I don't know that I've changed so much in the garden. Maybe the garden has changed more than me.
If you want to understand Birmingham, it all starts with the landscape. What was built, when it was built, where it was built, all stem from the landscape and the topography and the geology. As they laid out the city, it prospered. And as it prospered, the furnaces and the foundries filled the valley with soot and noise and heat and grit. And residents began thinking about, oh, we'd like to move up to those wooded hills that are climbing up from the valley. So the developers, not to miss an opportunity, began laying out more streets and more streetcars. And with the automobile, there was a chance to move beyond the reach of the streetcar and climb up that mountain, to build houses on the crest of the mountain, and to go over into the next valley and to the ridges beyond that. And Louise Wrinkle's garden is a remnant of those woodlands that lay over the first mountain in the next valley.
The house was built in 1938 by my father. He had bought 2 lots here in this new community called Mountain Brook. We had a wonderful childhood because it was relatively undeveloped. This was the second house on the street, and the Mountain Brook Club was here, but that was all. We were just given free rein to have a good time. My mother was a gardener. My father was what you might call a naturalist. He taught us the common names of the trees and some of the flowers. I began to get interested in plants and plant identification and plant families and whatever was interesting. And so my interest shifted to horticulture. And it was a great laboratory to work on. My parents were not as compulsively interested in horticulture as I am, but they opened it up to us. And my sister was not receptive, but I must have been.
When Louise first knew this place, they called it the jungle. And that was a child's idea of a place that wasn't controlled, that had amazing endemic plants, pine trees and tulip poplars and hollies and native azaleas growing on the property. But to a child, it was a jungle. It seemed overwhelming to a certain degree, mysterious, maybe not with order. And to take the garden and maintain that childhood delight, but to come to a better understanding and friendship and knowledge of what that place is and why it is that way.
The design is so much what nature gave me to work with. My philosophy is certainly less is more. I'm not for the English or the French or the Japanese, because I feel sort of like that they are an imposed pattern on the landscape. I'd rather stand back and look at the landscape and let the land speak to me. What I like is for you not to notice it on the first go-round. Look, take a second look and you'll see some other things. My emphasis is not on flowers here. It's on different plants. And what I would like is to people to realize that things are happening with different plants in different seasons of the year, different days of the year. Their buds are swelling and things are flowering and things are going into fruit. And there's always something changing. There's always something to see.
Woodland gardening is about anticipating being surprised. Every now and then you'll be standing and the wind will blow, or it'll be a different season than the last time you stood in that place. That in the autumn or the winter you see views that in the summertime are obscured. And you think about, is that important? And if it's important, what do we do about it? How do you incorporate experiencing the garden as it really and truly is?
Louise's garden is especially unique for this area and for Mountain Brook because of the team that she assembled to build it and to think through it. You've got Louise, Dick Pickford, Norman Johnson, Beatty Hanna, Jonathan McNabb, and other characters that actually had their hands in the dirt here. And that's a dream team as far as I'm concerned when it comes to building a garden. And then you have Louise's plant knowledge and influence and challenging Norman and Dick on probably various elements, and then going out on her own and doing her own thing. And that's what makes, when you come across this place, you realize how special it is.
One of the things I have thoroughly enjoyed for 30 plus years now about my relationship with Louise and with this garden is that it's always an interactive, collaborative sort of thing. At the beginning of this project, there was not a great giant piece of paper that had little lines and circles and Latin names and numbers and quantities and locations.
Louise had transformed a small piece of land that she had grown up on into a fantastic series of enclosures. While this piece of land is only a couple of acres, you feel like it's a very large experience when you are guided through it by the way she has set up her paths in different and very mysterious directions.
It does look pretty natural, but everything is pretty well orchestrated. The rock work along the creek bed looks like it's always been there, like it just kind of, the water washed it away, but I know every rock was meticulously thought out. The tree work here has been, each mature tree has probably been meticulously kind of thinned out, cleaned up, but it still doesn't look that way, allowing just enough light to get in to create that cycle of that woodland garden. And being able to study that and see where those moves were made, I'm in awe of it sometimes.
I think Louise shows why it might be important to think about and try to integrate the gifts of time that previous owners have left us. In this case, mature trees. We build housing differently today. We bulldoze everything and we start from scratch and we plant little twigs along the curb. So there's not an opportunity to have a woodland garden.
I think that Louise has expressed many important concepts in her garden, and one of them is the concept of not trying to change what has been provided by nature. And as a consequence, you almost can't tell that someone has done it because it is so artfully worked with the topography of the land. It's idiosyncratic, and it is a southern garden because it is located in the south, but there's a romantic view of southern gardens as being large flat lawns and long alleys of live oak trees festooned with Spanish moss, and that is not what this southern garden is about.
When I was in Birmingham, the thing I found most unique about gardens in Birmingham was the sheer diversity of plants that were possible to use, plants that grew there. And certainly there were many gardens that just had, the 10 plants that everyone had, maybe traditional southern plants, crepe myrtle, boxwood, hydrangea, camellia, southern magnolia. But the breadth of native plants that are actually native there, that was something I really had to get used to, and it was kind of a shock.
Now this is a garden that blends both native plants, it's mostly native plants. It has some exotic plants, so she's not an ideologue, but it's mostly native, but it embraces an idea that I have, which is always, it's the right plant for the right spot. The great things about gardens like this is they are not static. Things are always changing. When you have a good variety of plants, things are coming into bloom, things are going out of bloom, foliage is coming up, new plants are sprouting, other ones are dying down. So there's a different look every season of the year. Fall can be just as beautiful, a season with all the different foliage. And then people also, they don't think about the wintertime. If you're in a garden that has just oodles of majestic trees like this, and after the leaves fall off, then you get to notice all the different forms, and it is living architecture.
I think that the garden style that we see in Louise's garden is inherently sustainable. I see the right plant in the right place. I see a relatively low maintenance garden that needs a nudge here and there, but I don't see a lot of turf or lawn area that needs to be mowed. So I think that really embodies a lot of the essence of sustainable gardening.
First and foremost, she is a plant lover. She's found ways to cultivate certain plants that she loves. She's found ways to sort of bring that sensibility through different types of landscapes. There's meadows, there's woodland, there's water elements. And I think that is a key highlight of understanding place, of listening to the land and letting it lead, is it's going to tell you what's going to thrive there. It's going to tell you what's going to bring other life there, be it, insects and birds. It's going to tell you a lot about the sense of place through what can thrive in a particular garden. And she, probably better than anyone I've seen who has a celebrated garden, has really let the land lead in that way.
Well, early on in my talking with Louise, it was clear that she was a person so committed to native plants, to investigating as much history as she could about them, where she could find them, how she could create families of native plants, the ilexes, the dogwoods. The natives are native to your area, but there are natives in the same family in other places in the world, and they can come and engage with your plants.
One might come across Louise's garden and think, isn't it nice that this was a preserved native landscape? But I think it's important to remember that although Louise has always had an interest in native plants, she never felt constrained by that, and she's often introduced many non-native plants into this garden. She was creating a designed landscape. She is a talented landscape designer, and every inch of this landscape has been improved by Louise's presence and her point of view and her aesthetic decisions.
Louise has always been a great fan of widening the circle, getting young people involved in gardening. And over the years, we've been so fortunate to have the generous support of many community service organizations, garden clubs, who have supported these programs, including support for the native plant internship in honor of Louise Wrinkle.
Louise is so generous with her garden, with her time, with herself, with her knowledge, that most people, when they come to Birmingham, if they have any interest whatsoever, that is on their list. They will call me and say, "Can you score me a tour?" And she always says yes. She always has cookies and lemonade.
When Jim and I first moved into our house about over 20 years ago, I asked Louise to come down and give me some advice on what to plant and what to do. And she shortly came down the driveway, but when she stepped out of the car, she had a roll of orange tape and just showed me what to take out. She said, "Clean up, clear out." And she will be brutally honest.
You go visit her garden, it's not unusual to leave with a plant. It's not unusual to bump into someone else who is very passionate about gardening, and there's this wonderful exchange of ideas. And I think that Louise personifies this quest for information. She's just so curious, and she's so patient that her garden is not about right now. Her garden is about what's happening next.
I'm on the local city council of Mountain Brook, and I think because I'm a member of Little Garden Club and have a mother and who was a mentor as well as somebody like Louise who pushes the horticulture, I have more of an interest in the green spaces that we have. The pollinators, are we planting natives? How are we taking care of our villages? We're trying now to go a little bit more green. So what I bring to the table as a city council member undoubtedly comes from what I have learned from being a member of Little Garden Club of Birmingham and what I've learned from Louise.
Louise has inspired a generation of gardeners, of plant lovers, of land preservationists and conservationists. There's something really valuable as you see and hear all of the development surrounding this piece of property, that she has kept it natural for so many years among so much sort of growth and change in this neighborhood.
In 2018, I published a book called Listen to the Land. It was to record what had been done in 30 years. I just thought it would be interesting for somebody else who had the same situation to see what somebody had done. I've had great reassurance from people that I don't know that they've enjoyed it and learned a lot, which is, I've always been interested in teaching and informing people. So it's been a wonderful experience.
When I think about Louise's book, Listen to the Land, it's a romance. It's a relationship that was rocky, no pun intended, but and full of travail and full of glory and victories and aha moments and frustrations and teamwork and partnerships. It's so beautifully woven together.
I wish there were more books from individuals like this, because it is a very powerful document of one woman's life in a garden. Years spent being close to nature, living with nature, learning from nature. It's a very honest and clear journal of a woman's life in a garden, and I think very valuable for people to read.
I hope between the book, between garden visiting, between conversations with people, that the presence of the garden has kind of grown beyond its geography, and that maybe the garden has become a presence, at least at a certain level in a certain context, of our American gardening culture.
This is a dream. This garden, as I sit here in the middle of this moss-covered asphalt with banks of ivy and ferns and equisetum and the water, the creek, and the bird song. Thank you, bird. I have more energy than when I sat down. I have more peace in my heart than when I sat down. I look at the dappled light coming through there and I think it's a canvas. It's a canvas for a masterpiece, and it's quiet. And we need that.
Any garden is an autobiography. So you see the gardener's personality when you see the garden, whether they're prim and proper or whether they're wild and woolly or anything, you know. I think of it as just a natural area that we've enjoyed all the time, but other people seem to enjoy it so much too. What I wanted was for Norman and me to make the whole place available to other people. And I think from what I hear, when they've been here, they seem to enjoy it.
Garden preservation is not an easy thing. Change is the only constant in a garden. So how do you manage an essential ingredient of a place and at the same time keep that place that you want, that you like, that you love? What does it take to keep a place that place? How do you ensure that that place is not lost?
That's the big question, what will happen to it? This 2 acres in Mountain Brook is ripe for development. You could put a dozen houses on here, but I don't want that. And I hope somebody that's half as crazy as I am will come here and want to do sort of the same thing that I've done.
Preservation of place, of landscape, of art, craft, and even tradition is sort of fundamental to our understanding of the past so that we can be better citizens of the future. As nature evolves, as our planet evolves, and as the climate evolves, we've got to be sort of studying these places and observing change over time. There's not finality at all in preserving or documenting a garden. Instead, it's just sort of capturing its life cycle and its evolution.
We preserve a lot of things in this country, all these monuments, all these buildings, because it's history, it's part of our culture. Well, how is that any different than a great garden? It's not. When you're preserving gardens, you're preserving genetic diversity. It's part of the ecology.
Preserving, protecting gardens is important because it translates into preserving and protecting our quality of life and the things that are important to us, and ensuring that we can have those wonderful experiences outdoors. Our children can have those experiences.
Gardens are about people. People create them. People can learn from them. Many gardens are really critical, important open space in their communities, places where people go to find comfort and solace. Preserving gardens, maintaining them over time, and having that continuity of land stewardship is extraordinarily important.
Birmingham has a checkered history with preservation. We've saved a good number of buildings and places that tell us who we are and what we value. We have to keep that in mind about what we preserve, and then being open to a place that's always becoming. We don't want to be frozen in time. But there's some places that can't be replaced. This garden is a piece of the city's identity. If we lose this place, we lose a treasure that is a gift now, and it's a gift for future generations. It's a place that can't be replaced.